Good morning and welcome to Backyard and Beyond. Well, yesterday after I mentioned duct tape, I decided to look into it a little further. Hey, sometimes the things you think you know aren't really so. And when it comes to duct tape, that's probably true because it's an unending amount of information. One of the things that it's hard to hear when we pronounce is that sometimes it's duck, like quack, D-U-C-K, and other times it's duct with a T on it, like furnace ducts. Uh, so most of the time I won't try to tell you which one I'm using, but occasionally that's really important. One of the growing brands of this kind of tape has a duck pictured on it, so that has expanded its usage and the products they have. So you might sometime look, if you care, to see if there is a little duck on there, and that's the brand, Duct Tape. Well, like I said, sometimes what I think I know is not necessarily true, so we had to go back in the history of when duct tape was invented, and it has been changed over time. But it is a cloth or scrim-backed pressure-sensitive tape, often sealed with polyethylene. And it is very similar to gaffer tape, but differs in that gaffer tape was designed to be cleanly removed, while duct tape is not. It is generally silver or black, but the exceptions are there now. There's a long list of colors that are available, and we'll mention those in a little bit. The standard width of 1 7/8 inches. It was originally developed in 1942 during World War II as a water-resistant sealing tape for ammunition cases. Then Permasil was a division of Johnson & Johnson, used a rubber-based adhesive to help the tape resist water and a fabric backing to add strength. It was also used in World War II to repair military equipment, including jeeps, firearms, and aircraft because of those properties of strength and water resistance. So hearing what it was used for originally during World War II, you can kind of guess about how we've come to think that it will solve almost everything. In military circles, this tape is known as gun tape, typically olive green, and is also known for its resistance to oils and greases. And it was then that it also became known as the quack duct tape, and Riggers tape, and hurricane tape, or 100 miles per hour tape, a name that comes from the use of the specific variety of duct tape that was supposed to hold up to 100 miles an hour winds, and the tape is named so because it was used during the Vietnam War to repair helicopter rotor blades. That's when it became known as 100 mph tape. Amazing. Well, it is commonly used in situations that require strong, flexible, very tacky tape, and some have long-lasting adhesive and resistance to weathering. So there are a number of different kinds out there. If you want a specific kind, you may want to kind of look at the not only the brand, but specifically what the product is labeled for. A more specialized product known as gaffer tape is preferred in entertainment circles as it does not leave that sticky residue when removed. And it comes in matte black and is more easily torn into thin strips for precise application. Duct tape in its guise as racers tape has been used in motorsports for more than 40 years to repair fiberglass bodywork. Racers tape comes in a wide range of colors to help match it to the common paint colors. And in Britain, it is usually referred to as tank tape in motorsports use. So when you're talking about duct tape, well, that most of us are familiar with that, but hey, somebody else may call it something else. Now, in addition to World War II, Vietnam War, racing, and so on, it had a number of uses in spaceflight. The NASA engineers and astronauts used it mostly in emergency situations, and one of those occurred in 1970 when the square carbon dioxide filters from Apollo 13's failed command module had to be modified to fit round receptacles in the lunar module, which was being used as a lifeboat after an explosion en route to the moon. The workaround was made using duct tape and other items on board Apollo 13, with the ground crew relaying directions to the spacecraft and its crew. The lunar module carbon dioxide scrubbers started working again, saving the lives of 3 astronauts on board. Ed Smiley, who designed the scrubber modification in just 2 days, said later that he knew the problem was solvable when it was confirmed that duct tape was on the spacecraft. He said, "I felt like we were home free." And he also said, "One thing a Southern boy will never say is, I don't think duct tape will fix it." In other words, duct tape will fix most everything. Duct tape was also used during Apollo 17 to improvise a repair to a damaged fender on the lunar rover, preventing possible damage from the rooster tails of lunar dust as they drove. And then in 2001, the NASA Manual for Spaceflight Operations aboard the International Space Station, duct tape is even called for in case of acute psychosis during a space mission. Why would they say that? Well, they can use the duct tape to restrain affected astronauts in case they go a little crazy. Amazing, just amazing. You know, we all depend on duct tape, I think. I'm thinking most everybody has some kind in their household. And then when we start thinking about, looking about what other it has been used for, it is just amazing to me. Well, one of the things that at one time was studied, because the word was going around, if you needed to get rid of warts, you just covered them up with duct tape. Well, for a long time, it was, just accepted that that was treatment. Well, then finally somebody researched that, and they decided that it was probably not all that great in terms of its effectiveness, but hey, it didn't hurt anybody either. Now, we talked about mentioned yesterday, the duct tape guys, Jim Berg and Tim Nyberg, have now written 7 books about duct tape, and their best-selling books have sold over 1.5 million copies and feature real and unusual uses of duct tape. In 1994, they coined the phrase, "It ain't broke, it just lacks duct tape." And then in 1995, with the publication of their WD-40 book, started saying, 2 rules get you through life. If it's stuck and it's not supposed to be, WD-40 is for it. If it's not stuck and it's supposed to be, duct tape it. Well, they've made millions over that. They've also have a combination book that's called, it's for WD-40 and duct tape together, referred to as the Redneck Repair Kit. Well, I mentioned earlier about the increase in colors. Yeah, just for fun, I sort of made a list of colors. You can now find it. And here are probably not all of them, but to get started: spotted leopard, purple duchess, electric blue, totally tie-dye, camouflage, sunburst yellow, funky flamingo, flame, zebra, pink zebra. And now they've also added prints to sell to college folks or people who want their college emblem on it. Now, I looked, Iowa State and the Hawkeyes are not there on the list. Probably will be sometime. But, for instance, the Huskers has duct tape printed with their school colors and their little logo. It also, of course, since it's so useful, is not used just in the United States. But if you're going to some other countries, you may want to check to see what they're talking about. The term duct tape can lead to confusion between people more familiar with the North American usage of the term and those in Australia and New Zealand, where a completely different type of tape is sold as duct tape. It is usually silver in color and has no cloth backing, so it is much weaker than what we depend upon, and it would be similar to what we usually call electrical tape. Now, if you have it in your home, I'm guessing most of us are using it for practical purposes, but it can just go on and on for the kind of fun, imaginative, creative kinds of things. Again, clothing, billfolds is a popular thing, tote bags, and if you go online, if you have access to online, there are even instructions, directions to make tons of things. But here's one that says, it's Easter's coming up. Easter baskets are cute, not usually for guys, but here's a suggestion for guys. You buy a new roll of duct tape, punch a hole in the paper wrapper on one side, and then you can fill that with the Easter candy. And there you go, a guy's Easter basket. Who knows what will come next? Kind of fun, and I also found it kind of interesting to find out the real beginning of duct tape. And until next time, here's the thought. A pessimist says that any time things appear to be going better, they've overlooked something.